We call tonight's meeting to order of the Portland City Council, and it's our first meeting of the month of April of 2014, April the 7th. We're starting off good tonight. We're start off with a prayer and pledge. Tonight in our audience is someone that's here just about every meeting. Mr. Corky Lawson is going to do our prayer and pledge. Would you stand, please?
Our Father in heaven, we pause at the beginning of this meeting tonight to seek your guidance and your help in what takes place in the discussions that are held tonight. We thank you for all of your blessings to our fair city. We've been spared some things that have happened in other places, and you've protected us all. And tonight we ask you to be present in this meeting to guide and direct in all of the discussions and the decisions that are made. And we'll give you the honor and the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We appreciate that and all you do for our community and everything. Roll call, Ms. King.
Alderman Bratton.
Here.
Alderman Callis.
Here.
Alderman Harbin.
Here.
Alderman Jennings.
Here.
Vice Mayor McDowell.
Here.
Alderman Minnis.
Here.
Alderman White.
Here.
All right, thank you. Next, need approval of minutes of March the 3rd and 17th meetings. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any comments on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we need approval of the agenda. I do have some add-ons, so we could have a motion, get it on the floor. Have a motion. Second.
Second.
They want to add resolution 1444, which is regarding paving, 1445, new employee and gas department. Then we got 1446, 1447, deal with the grants at the airport. 1448 is adjustment on the water bill. And then under public safety, discuss replacement employee under public safety. And we'll put those under the appropriate, at the end of the appropriate part in the agenda. Does anyone else have any add-ons? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have 2 public hearings. This is for 2 specific ordinances only. The first is ordinance 14-12. It's an ordinance to enter into a contract with Toby Ellis doing business at Cedar Ridge Services for street paving project contract for inspection services on our paving project. Does anyone have a comment to make on this ordinance? Okay, if not, ordinance 14-13. It's an ordinance to enter into a contract with R.J. Young Company to lease a plotter for the Public Works Department. Does anyone have a comment to make on this ordinance? If not, public hearings are closed. Next, we have reports. You have your reports. We have a motion to approve our reports.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions on the reports? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have communications from mayor and aldermen. Does any of the aldermen have anything they'd like to go before the public tonight? I have just a couple of things. There'll be some advertising things coming out, but April the 22nd and 23rd from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, we'll be having, really the first Portland, we're having a job fair at the Robert Coleman Center. This will be mainly for seasonal employment through our Parks Department and possible some Public Works seasonal part-time or temporary employment. So would ask anyone who's interested in kind of get the word out that there will be a job fair there. People come by and get information and possible to make application for jobs also. And so we're going to try this and see how this works and try to reach out in the community and try to let everybody know about that. Then also, we have our, May is a big month for Portland, the Strawberry Festival and so forth, which will be May the 10th. But on May the 3rd, the police department will be having a bike rodeo, and there'll be quite a bit more information coming about that in the next week or two. We're actually, young people will be coming in to do a bike rodeo, get a little bike license, going through a little safety course. Life Flight will be here from Vanderbilt. The Highway Patrol is supposed to be here. All the emergency personnel can be several here. We are waiting on TBI. If they work their schedule, they're going to be here and do the identification thing. So it's going to be really a good day for our young people, starting about 8, going to about noon that day. So I really look forward to that. So just want to bring you up to date on those couple items. Depending on our weather, if it's spring or not, whether we have strawberries or not, I guess.
Mayor, is that carnival going over to City Park again this year?
Yes. All right, if not, then we'll go on. We have a period of public recognition. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council this time on an item on the agenda, we ask you to do so at this time. Anyone wish to address the council with an item on the agenda? Okay, if not, we'll move on. We've had all these add-ons, so y'all, I'll try to be sure I stay on task. If not, then you let me know. Under our planning commission, we do not have any items, but I just want to discuss something real briefly. According to our codes and ordinances, when a business changes status, whether it could be ownership, land transaction, or just a change of business, there's a process they need to go through. Through this process, generally requires a safety inspection, a site plan, depending on how much has been redone, would go design review committee, but there's several different things that have to go through. Recently, some exposure has been made to this process being done to a specific business. An employee was named in a public sign. The employee was just doing her job. She's doing what she's supposed to do, what has been authorized for this council to do. So we need to remember that employees of the city are most of the time doing what they have been told to do by the policies set forth by the council. In saying that, this particular business was given some options. There was a process that went before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Some other things that were presented, they chose not to do any of those and chose just to go route that they did. So I just want everyone to know that there is a process to go through. Our employees are directed in certain ways to go through those process, and a lot of times there are options. Sometimes people do not choose to go through there, but it was just not a definite answer, yes or no, with certain things. There were certain options given, and they chose not to do that. So I just want to make everyone aware of that, and I appreciate you listening to that.
Since they're not in business anymore, what about their license? Can we take that license?
I don't think they have a license
I
anymore.
don't think they have a license at this time.
They didn't have a license.
Just present time.
We will let them operate without one.
Well, they're not open.
They're not
The
operating.
business had closed down, and
Right.
they tried to reopen, and our planning director just advised
Yeah,
them of
I
the
know.
steps they needed to take to do that, and they chose not to do it.
There's no
instead.
business activity going on.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Okay. None but people stopping reading the sign.
Right. And we are looking at some options and trying to deal with that. And also, as what the council were, immediately following meeting, we got some information today on one of our pending lawsuits, and we need to have a very brief executive session to go into immediately following our meeting. Okay, that's all I have. Do you have anything else on the plan, Mr. McDonald?
No, sir, it's quiet this month.
All right. Alderman Bratton on the Public Works.
I'll get to that. Public Works Ordinance 14-12, second reading ordinance to enter the contract with Toby Ellis doing business as Cedar Ridge Services for street paving projects. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Any comments or questions?
Just briefly, this is Mr. Ellis has a background and expertise in paving, and he's going to inspect some of our, we borrowed quite a bit of money to do paving, and there was some concerns about us not maybe having someone on site, and maybe these individuals just not putting down the pavement appropriately. So his company's gonna oversee that for us and maybe help us get a better job.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Real quick on that topic, do we know when we're gonna be back out on North Russell trying out the infrared? You know, we're gonna come back, we've done a little patching on the front end, and we're gonna check the back end to see where the mix was. I don't know.
We met with him today. He's gonna do a little bit more thinking on that and so forth, and possible, he's not sure if it's gonna be worth trying or not. So he's gonna be looking at some options. All right, next one.
Ordinance 14-13, second reading, ordinance to enter into a contract with R.J. Young Company to lease a plotter for Public Works Department. Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
It's pretty self-explanatory.
All right.
All in favor, please vote for saying. Oh, what am I saying? I done got carried away with my comrade here. Sorry about that, Mayor.
That's fine. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 4.40, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the best bid for wheel refuge containers for fiscal year 2014. Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
What we had talked about, we've been talking about sanitation for quite some time, is going ahead and making a commitment to our employees to finish out for several more months, get our carts in order. We've just been through the audit, which we're in the process of getting our billing all straightened out. Should be some letters going out very shortly advising people that had not been paying. We've just about got all that done. Then we are, hopefully at the next meeting, we'll present something from the engineer about actually doing a very good study on the transfer station, because that's one of the things that we still have a question on to be sure to make it work. So we need to go ahead and get these carts, get everything in order, and then if the things do not work out and at the end of the year we decide, then we can start off at a good point. We've done a lot of our stuff here in our house and got in order, and also in Public Works discussed tonight about some of the policies that we need to do, especially on rental pickups and things like that, is getting a good, firm, strong policy that we all understand and can go by. Is any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, then you got 1444, Mr. Bratton, the paving.
Yes, 1444 is a resolution to approve the paving for various streets in the city of Portland. And the list is attached.
Do we have a motion to get on the floor?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Basically, this list, we had a list several months ago, maybe up to a year ago, about 12 different streets, 10 or 12, and we was able to do some of those. And so the first few streets was finishing that list, and then we had Mr. Ellis to go and grade all of our streets, come back with a score. And these are some of the worst streets with having the most traffic. There's probably a few streets maybe a little bit worse, but they may be dead ends, don't have quite the traffic. So it's kind of how this amount was coming up with where we can pay. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, just on the morning side, from where Thomas is, I'm sorry, Thomas. When y'all graded morning side, what did that, you find any information about that there? Well, the truck traffic there is just tearing that road all to pieces. You can find that out for me, I'd be curious to know. There's a lot of traffic, we were talking about traffic volume, a lot that goes through there, and the road is just eat up with the heavy trucks that come through.
And we should have some money left to catch up some other things like that. And then there was some money, we didn't use all the money that we have available for some sealing and some infrared and some things and some other streets. But just so let us get in the cycle of paving to be kind of first on their list, so we can, when things turn loose, that we can be ready for them. So. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So,
1445.
is that the, oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's a resolution to hire an employee for the natural gas department. Let's see. Whereas application been properly solicited and accepted a full-time natural gas position for the city of Portland, whereas careful consideration been given these applicants and an interview panel and public works committees recommend their offering. Now therefore be resolved by the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Portland that Owen Powell be hired full-time to the natural gas department. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall become effective upon its passage, public welfare required. Make a motion to approve.
Motion, have a second. Is there any comments or questions? Mr. Powell is, for all you don't know him, he's actually a street department employee and has been part-time for, I don't know, how many years now?
7 years.
I knew it had been a while, so we appreciate all his service. He'll be going full-time.
And they said he's worth his weight in gas.
What the price is getting, that's quite a bit now. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome aboard. All right. One more, Mr. Pratt.
Which one is,
1448, that's on the file.
Another employee for the gas department.
another employee for gas department?
Mhm.
Resolution 1448, a resolution granting approval for, no, wait a minute, that's a water adjustment, ain't it?
Right.
Okay. A resolution, we haven't said it was another hire in the gas department. so-
Well, there was two.
Well, one's transfer, because he's already
Oh, okay,
full-time.
okay.
He's already a full-time.
A resolution granting approval for the water adjustment for Mr. Powell, whereas Mrs. Powell at 114 Newby Road, Westmoreland, Tennessee, had very serious water leak resulting in charges that exceeded $1,000. And whereas the newly adopted water adjustment policy does not authorize utility office staff to make adjustments when the bills exceed $1,000, as the adjustment must be considered by the city council, whereas the Public Works Committee discussed this issue, recommended that Ms. Powers should be granted an adjustment for the total water bill in the amount of $463.68. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the mayor and the city council of the city of Portland that utility office may adjust the water bill for Ms. Powers to a total of $436.68. Be it further resolved that this resolution become effective upon its passage and public welfare requiring it. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Any comments or questions?
What was the original deal?
Ms. Christie, you want?
What was the original bill?
I think y'all addressed it.
She's got it.
The original was $5,382.36.
Bunch of water.
Y'all addressed this in public works, right? And y'all come up with that amount?
According to the policy that's passed by the council, that's the amount that comes to, by taking the average over a 12-month period, including the high bid.
So y'all didn't decide that was, y'all simply done the policy?
That's
on this
exactly.
bill here, is that right?
Went by the policy and straight back.
And they were, of course, being outside the city, there was no sewer charges included in that, it was just strictly water. Any other comments or questions?
Just one of the things that we talked about that maybe they were going to come up with a policy to maybe where we could detect these leaks to help residents, and we talked about that, and we're going to try to address that in the future.
Well, what was confusing to me, because I know we passed something a while back, it says the newly adopted water adjustment policy does not authorize the utility office to make adjustments. And
Above.
it says the adjustment must be considered by, so it just means the finalization of it, or it
No,
means the
yeah.
policy was followed?
When the bill exceeds $1,000.
The policy,
It did.
the policy, the utility office can do anything 1,000 less. Then I can do anything from 1,000 to 2,000. Anything above 2 has to come back to the council.
But when y'all decided, you just followed based on the previous months.
Right.
It can be confusing because we had talked here several times about large bills, And just simply writing them off. I know Melvin spoke out a bunch about that over the past. And so I was curious on y'all's discussion over that.
We think it needs to be looked into.
But y'all approved tonight.
We had to go by policy.
You know, we used to do some ways than half, but the policy basically going back 12 months, but they included the high bills.
So just to make it clear as I read this, the 436 is the amount that will be paid on the bill, not the adjustment.
So that's what they have to pay.
Yeah, the adjustment is how much?
And that's what I'm saying, it's kind of confusing. 'cause
Yeah, well, I read it that
gives the
way too. I
impression
thought
that
this was
is
the adjustment. To me,
yeah.
that's not the adjustment.
The adjustment, that includes tax and penalties, is $4,945.68.
Netting a bill of 436.68.
And
So I just want to make that clear.
Explain briefly how you got there.
We just took a 12-month average, including that high bill, and we took that 12-month average off that high bill. You just take an average, and it's actually, the calculations are in there. But you actually take the 12-month average and take that off the high bill.
And the reason why I ask all this is because when has it been a year now? I don't know how long it's been since we looked at this. My question was, why are we, if we're gonna follow a policy, why would any board even look at that? Because regardless whether it's 1,000, 2,000, or above 2,000, at the end of the day, she went back and calculated out an average cost that y'all didn't make any other decision to except simply what she come up with.
Couldn't make a decision to.
So why, you know what I'm saying? That's why I kind of brought up the last time, why do we even look at that if we're not making any adjustments on our own? It would just simply be all internal, regardless of the size of the bill, obviously, because this one was over $5,000. So whether it was 800, 5,000, 2,000, at the end of the day, we just took a policy and went boom, and it was out of our hands, right?
Well, I'm confused, because I think that, and the way it's written is a little confusing. I think if it had indicated the amount of the adjustment, and I think the council wanted to see when it was large adjustments that we were doing. What's the total adjustment that the council is approving above your policy?
It
Well,
would
the
be
total adjustment.
$2,945.
So, see, that's what this council chose not for them to do. If it was above what her allotment was and what the mayor can do, anything above that, this council wanted to know about it.
Right.
So there's $2,900 really tonight that this council is basically waiving. And they didn't have authorization to waive that $2,900, nor the mayor, nor her office.
No, I agree with the way it's written, but I just find it to be just another level of bureaucracy that y'all have taken it up, we're taking it up. At the end of the day, it just following the policy.
I kind of see what you're saying, though. It's more for information than it is anything else. If the policy's there and we can't do anything to change it, that's
No.
fine and dandy, but this way,
We could say no tonight, and they would have to pay the $2,900.
with the policy in place, we could go against the policy?
In the well, they've already done what the policy said. That they've done
So you're
everything.
saying the
that-
policy isn't to go by that exactly. The policy is just if it's under $1,000 or under $2,000 to use that formula. But beyond that, we're not bound to it.
No, beyond that, it's up to this council. The way I understand it, it's up to
Is
this
that, you
council.
mean that,
Well,
Chris?
the way I look at it is, it's a calculation that you've approved, how we calculate the number. You approve if it's beyond $2,000, if you accept it or not, the reasoning for the adjustment.
David, I think
That's
we need
how
some
I
clar- I
understand
think we
the
need some
policy.
clarification.
I
on that.
think the calculation formula has been approved. However, I believe this council, before it is finally approved, has to vote to do that. You do not have to vote to agree to do this.
And my only difficulty in it, because I don't have no idea who this even is that it would be somebody came in and we voted to approve them this month. 6 months down the road, we didn't vote to approve these other people, and we arbitrarily applied one thing to one people and one people. If it was just simply
Yeah,
up to
but
us.
see, the policy here is you got 3 levels before it comes to you. And you have the right, as a council, not to approve it. Because there could be other factors that should be considered. Very frankly, there obviously is some factor here that caused such a large bill. I don't know what it is.
Well, see, I'd like for clarification, Counselor, because I think we've already pre-approved by resolution the adjustments that they can, that if it wasn't above that amount, this council wouldn't even be aware of it. If it, is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's been approved. So all we're approving is above what we've already pre-approved for it, with this policy. So, and that amount is $2,900.
If it's approved here.
If it's approved, yeah.
Yes.
But the other, they had authority, the mayor had authority, and the staff had authority.
But in
to
this
do
case, because it is above, it has to be approved.
just the 2,900, not the entire amount.
Right, the part that's not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Mike, I hope that's not confusing, but I think in this situation, it kind of, it backs up what we said before. This bill has came to us, and it was originally over a $5,000 bill, and I think we as a council said, when it's one like that, we want to know about it. We want to know that something like it took place, because if it happens in the future at that same residence, we might not approve it that next time, because it may say they've got an issue or something there.
So the only thing that just concerns me is that, and, you know, I'm not gonna beat the horse. I mean, I'm fine with, you know, if y'all approved it, I'm ready to approve it. My concern is that a body of elected people next year, 10 years from now, just decides arbitrarily these people over here pay it, and they didn't make somebody else pay it at one time.
Right.
So that's a little concerning to me. That's the only reason why I bring it up. You know, the fact ought to be, if we got a large thing, they ought to present the fact that they had a water leak, they repaired it. I think that's kind of what we asked to do.
But they're actually.
They do that, that's what we ask. But I hate for it to be all up politics when it ought to be a policy. And that's my only concern. So, but I'm fine with approving it if y'all went through your
Yeah,
committee.
and I think the thought pattern was that night, we had almost a $10,000 adjustment, and that this council felt like, and I know it may be arbitrary, that 2,000 maybe, you know, but if it's 9, this body would like to know about it, rather than reading that staff just approved a $10,000 adjustment. I mean, I'm not defending it, but that was the logic that night, because it was such a large adjustment.
And it could be those things, though, it could be 8 customers.
It could be.
With $1,500 adjustments, but we're only gonna look at the one customer who had a $3,000 adjustment, and in totality, they reduced a lot more money than we ever even looked at, and so
I
I
agree.
just could say it could be a little troubling.
I'm not debating, I'm just saying that was a thought pattern that night.
That's my whole argument with you tonight. I'm done. I love you.
No, no. I may vote against it, I don't know.
Okay. All right, any other comments or questions? So tonight, we're voting on this one adjustment only.
And we're voting that they'll pay a $436 68 cent water.
Gonna be roll call vote,
Right.
vote, Mayor? Vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right, have one no. Is that all, Mr. Means? Okay. Passes 5-1. All right, that's all I think you got, Public Works.
I hope so.
All right. Next, we didn't have anything under Parks and Rec. Guess anything came out of a committee for that tonight. Next, we go to Public Safety. Chairman Dow, Vice Mayor.
Resolution 14-41. This is a resolution to authorize the City of Portland to join other municipalities located in the county of Sumner, Tennessee, in the consolidation of dispatch services for all of Sumner County. Move to approve, get on the floor.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Comments and questions?
I think it's been in the works sometimes, and I think everybody's aware of it.
They were wanting to, the committee, or basically has been set up, working committee to this point, was kind of wanting to know by mid-May, everyone who was seriously interested. Of course, the building construction has started. They hope to have it done by the end of the year or first of the year for the building, and then, of course, it'll be a month or so of training. So they would like to get going sometime after the first of the year, if everything will work out. Here again, you got construction, you know, schedules and different things, and then getting everything set up, and then who all. But in order to move forward by, you know, this time or May, to really know what cities are very serious about doing it. Because this is written in such a way that the dollar amounts we discussed last time changed a little. You know, we do have an out, but this is saying yes as far as things going and money savings is there and all, that we're committed to move forward. I think this is one of the things that more you look at. I know when you, on the surface, when I first thought about it, kind of, you know, but the more you look at it now, think it's really gonna be a good thing.
It'll be a learning curve to everybody. It'll be a difference, but I think our police chief and fire chief both support it. And I think in the long run, it'll be a benefit to the city to have the extra, I mean, it's gonna up our manpower in that operations that we deal with, but at the same time, it'll be a savings to us.
I think they both know way more about it than we do, and it's gonna affect them directly, and I can't imagine that they would support something that they didn't feel like was the right move.
And I think they're gonna absorb the employees initially, our employees.
Yes.
The original, and actually you may see costs come down because originally all departments wanted all their employees to have a job. So they're going to hire everybody all the dispatchers we had, Intersville, what have you. The sheriff's department will not be sending all they will be keeping some because they have to keep some there for court records and looking up warrants, things at night, different things like that. So they will actually be on the front end getting a few more employees and probably what they need, but through nutrition and some people might not want to transfer. It is going to be a different pace. It's going to be a different learning curve. There will be different levels of dispatch. So eventually you'll may even see the cost come down.
It's a lot more complicated rather than
Right.
knowing the streets of Portland, then you gotta know Sumner County. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
The next resolution is number 14-42. This is a resolution authorizing the acquisition of property, design of facilities, equipping of fire-related materials and supplies, and establishing a capital budget and operating budget for a fire hall to be located in the northwest quadrant of the city of Portland. Move to approve to get it on the floor.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. This is something we've been talking about for quite some time, and it's time that we make some commitments or not. ISO is due here. I don't know if they got here today or not. They did get here to start their inspection process. Of course, this is one of the things we know that we need. What this resolution is basically doing is committing us to do this. Of course, any acquisition, design, all that, things like it will have to come to council for approval. This is just giving authority to start moving forward and start doing the things that need to be necessary to make this commitment for this fire hall. I know it's been talked about public safety and the comments.
No, I think you said it well. This resolution is not saying we're going to have one tomorrow. It's just so we can start exploring it too.
Starting our commitment to.
Right.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now thank you. Discuss employee, Vice Mayor.
Yes, sir. I don't really have an official resolution, but we have an employee that has turned their time in that they'll be retiring. I think sometime in June will be their last official day. And if they're out on some medical leave, I think right now maybe or something, but we had a list that was derived by the police department and human resources back several months ago, and they're asking for the blessing of the council to go ahead and follow that list. There's a few more names on it. I mean, they'll go down and call. The person they call may not even be available for the job, so they'll just keep going down that list. But they want to be able to go ahead and get them hired and put through the FTO program, so whenever that individual does actually leave, they'll be ready to hit the street at that time. I think the next two people on the list to finalize that list are both certified officers, so they don't have to go through. They both put themselves through, and they are local people, so they don't have to have that length of time to worry about. But they'll actually officially bring a name to you in the next council meeting, but they want to go ahead and get the blessing to call them and offer them the position, basically.
We had been discussed, I think when that list was filed, that we use it for 6 months, and we're getting real close to that 6 months. So that's another reason we wanted to bring it and be sure you're okay with using that list for this particular one. I
I don't know if we need official action on it, or
I mean, unless anybody's really opposed, I mean, the official action will be when they bring the names, so we just want to be sure, make everybody kind of aware of what the thinking was and so forth.
That's all we have under public safety at this time.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll move on to our legislative, city recorder.
You should have a packet, I actually just stapled them together for you, that's 2 of the report on debt obligations. The requirement is that this be distributed in open meeting before it can be sent to the comptroller's office. The 2 notes on here were the extension note on the public safety city hall renovation in the amount of $66,667. That was approved and renewed. And then the other one is the new $500,000 note that those funds have been received as of Friday. And the note has been, of course, executed. And this will actually be done through TML bond, but they need it to be distributed. So this is the official distribution in case there was any question.
Anyone, any comments or questions for Doug?
Okay. We've
All
met
right.
our obligation.
Okay. Next, we have resolution 14.
Mayor, I apologize. Can we back up to public safety for a minute? I forgot to
Yeah.
add something to that in case anybody had any questions. Under the employee that they want to hire, Chief Smith did tell us that he can absorb that individual's pay in his budget, in this current ending budget, to get that person on board. For right now, in case anybody had a question with that. I apologize.
No, it's fine, thank you. Next, we have resolution 1443. It's a resolution to authorize the mayor, board of aldermen, city judge, city attorney, department heads, city report to attend the 2014 Tennessee Municipal League Conference in Chattanooga. This motion, get it on the floor.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
The information just came out about this. It'll be June the 21st to 24th, and we'd like to go ahead and approve this night, get the information out. We want to go ahead and get it in early. That way we can get rooms that are close to the facility. It's a great learning experience, and this year with a lot of legislation changes and all, it's probably very important to kind of hear some of the things that are going on.
This one is, and this is a great opportunity. Many of us have already went and got level 1, level 2 training over a few years, and it gives you an opportunity to go get that training and to be up on what's going on new. And so I hope that all the members be able to go, and I learn a lot every time that they have it. I didn't get to go last year, but look forward hopefully this year to gain a little bit more knowledge. Hopefully.
Very
Hopefully I
good.
get it harder. You get more knowledge.
Just a lot more in there to absorb it. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have 2 more add-ons under airport. Let me get these, Brian.
You're going to help me out. I have no idea where they're at in here.
Here, you'll be doing this.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You got it.
One is 1446. What this is, basically both of them are resolutions for grants we already approved. One is a grant for the tree topping removal, and we've actually already accepted the bid for that. It's 1446. We just today got in the contract agreements with the state, so we need to approve, basically you're approving the grant with the state. We've already approved who's going to be doing it and all. We're just actually approving the grant with the state for their paperwork. And this is a total of $20,000 grant with the 5% of the city. And like I said, we've already been through budget and everything. This is just the state paperwork that we've got to approve to do this. So I have a motion to get it on the floor.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is resolution 1447. It's a resolution in support of the same type of grant, but it's for the property appraisals with a total of $20,000, 5% of the city. And basically, we've already approved everything except this last part of the paperwork to be done for the state of Tennessee. So I have a motion to get it on the floor.
So move.
Have a second.
Second.
Is there any comments or questions for Doug or anything? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank y'all.
May I have a quick question? Are you finished?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't, I think I missed the last. Did we address, was Billy Jones still working for the city when he passed away? Was he on disability? I just know, I don't know nothing was said about it.
Yeah, we, and I meant, I had a note, got through that, but
You still? Yep.
we did have an employee, want to remember his family, Mr. Billy Jones, pass away a couple weeks ago, who was employed at the water plant. He found out some medical problems, well, maybe just a little bit over a month. He was in the process of going through retirement and so forth, but had not completed all that, so he was still an employee for the city. So we need to remember his family. I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, I did. Billy's been around Portland for a long time and served the city at several capacities. He painted signs and auction signs, and he's run for city council, I know, at least once, and later on went to work with the city, and he was a good employee, and I just wanted to say that we're going to miss him, and condolence to the family, even though it's a little late, but I think it's the first public meeting we've had since he passed away.
Yeah, Billy was he was a classmate of mine, and he was a very talented and very smart individual. Very, very intelligent. Well, anything else? Remember, we need to have executive session just real quick in the conference room. You know what else, anything, nobody objects, we'll be adjourned.